Hi everybody, I'm Dawn. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for visiting with me today. So in this video, we were going to discuss Sebastian Rogers and just, what's happening so far in the search for him and everything. So there is a YouTuber, Justin on TikTok, did a very excellent interview with Seth Rogers, Sebastian's father. And I'm going to share the link down below. I have a few clips that I'm going to show you here, but I do encourage you to please go check out his channel, subscribe, watch the interview. It's excellent. There were just some things I wanted to talk on, so I kind of took those clips. But full credit goes to Justin on TikTok, and please go visit him. Tell him I sent you. He may not care, but tell him I sent you. Go visit him and give him a subscribe. It's a great channel. I've watched it before, but today when or was it last night, or I don't even remember. I think it was this morning when I watched the interview with Sebastian Rogers' dad, Seth. It is gut-wrenching. It is heartbreaking. It is horrific. So, but yeah, Sebastian's dad, I know some people have doubts about him and stuff. I never have, not for a moment. This is a man who truly loves his son and hasn't stopped looking for him. As near as I can tell, he hasn't rested. And judging from how he looks and sounds in the interview with Justin on TikTok, he needs a break, but I don't think he's going to take one. But yeah, and anyway, I really encourage you. Ow, a piece of hair in my mouth. I really encourage you to please go check Justin on TikTok out. Again, I will link his video, the full interview, down below in the About section. Please go check it out. I also have a clip from Court TV from Vinnie Politan, that I want to show you. That was inappropriate. I shouldn't have done that, but Vinnie Politan. So I'm sorry about that. I developed a cramp in my foot, and I had to take care of it. But I wanted to talk for a minute about the Proudfoots, Katie and Chris. I have not really spoken against them at all. I've pointed things out, like the inconsistencies and stuff. Like I pointed out in the Nancy Grace interview that Chris and Katie did, that Chris said, his job was up in the air, and then a couple minutes later, he said he was leaving town to go back to work. And to me, that was a weird thing to say. I don't see how it would affect the case, but I feel it just shows how full of he is, but I've not really spoken against them, and there are a lot of people who are speaking against them very harshly, and I'm starting to see why. I saw why before, but after watching that interview today with Seth Rogers, Sebastian's dad, I am not a fan of the Proudfoots. I am not. And also watching the Vinnie Politan interview with Seth's dad, it was disturbing. I'm also going to link that below too. So we're just going to look at these clips, and I'm going to discuss each one.
Did I form an opinion? Yeah, I formed an opinion. I am only human.
And what was that opinion?
That once again, my son, something has happened to my son under her watch. And once again, she wasn't being an adult. She wasn't being a parent taking care of an autistic child.
So as you're listening and watching her, now she was home, it was just Sebastian and his mom that were home at that time?
When I got, yes, because when I got there, it was just Katie, and I think Chris's mom was there.
He knows her. Seth knows her. And, you know, he was married to her. He knows this woman. And I know people think he's just throwing shade. Like, people think, well, he's just throwing shade because he's frustrated. He's upset. He wants to find his son. And, but yeah, I believe him. I believe him. She didn't protect Sebastian. And you're going to hear more about that later in this video. You know, and maybe you think I'm being unfair. Maybe you think I'm being unfair. But if some little fuckhead even suggested hitting my kid with a belt, his ass is gone. His ass is gone. If even if Eric suggested hitting Marshall with a belt, it would be on. There would be a fight. You're not touching my kid. He's mine. He's mine. You're not touching my kid. Period. You know.
Now, did you have any reason to believe that there were any problems in that home?
Katie was pretty adamant about having a good weekend, which meant my son wasn't misbehaving in her point of view.
So I'm trying to read between the lines here. Do you believe that she doesn't exercise enough patience with Sebastian, and that causes some problems in the home, or she doesn't approach her responsibilities as a parent appropriately? Like there's something off there?
Autistic children take a different. Well, autistic children take.
That's a nice way to put it, Vinny. That's really nice. He's so well spoken. She doesn't approach her responsibilities as a parent appropriately. That is a nice way to say she sucks at mothering. That's a very nice way to say it. You say tomato, I say tomato.
Fun fact, I made breakfast that morning.
So that was just a clip from the Olivia video. She seriously said, fun fact, I made breakfast that morning. Well, congratulations, young lady. Congratulations. You did what's expected of you. Woo! Give her a cookie. She did the bare minimum to being a mother. But, you know, I have a question for Chris. And this could probably come later in the video, but I'm going to ask it now. I have a question for him. And maybe he can answer it for me. Why would Sebastian want to leave? Why would Sebastian want to leave the house? What did you do to him, Chris? Or you, Katie? What did you do? What made him want to leave? If he left, if he even left, and if he left on his own free will without somebody's guidance, why would he want to leave? What have you done to him to make him sneak out? I'm just wondering.
But you had said a second ago that he was afraid of his stepdad. What has he conveyed to you or talked to you about that you were able to talk about why he was afraid of him?
I found out afterwards. I mean, I found out after my son disappeared that he was scared of his stepfather. I mean, I've seen some of the podcasts where he has used the belt. I mean, if you think about if you I've been to the school, I've talked to the principal, I've talked to his teachers, I've talked to the SRO, and everybody is like, he's a wonderful kid.
This stepdad is garbage. He's garbage. He's just trash. No child No child should be afraid in their own home. That should be the one place in the world they feel safest, in their home. You know, and I know a lot of kids don't feel safe at home, but they should. They really should.
I don't want to, and you and I talked about this a little bit on the phone, and like I said, we don't want to talk too much about, your ex and that side of this. But there is something that I did want to bring up, because information about you and your divorce with Katie, was leaked. And some of the stuff has taken the internet to put a lot of accusations against you. And you and I have told the story, or told me the story of what happened. And I want you to kind of share what you're comfortable sharing. But what I found that was kind of odd between the accusations that are being thrown out about you through your divorce is that those stories are oddly similar, very similar, in fact, to the stories told by Chris when he was basically bragging about the way he treated Sebastian, the way that Nina Gomez, her children were treated and she was treated. It's oddly like it almost mirrors it exactly. And so, respectfully, what I'd like to ask you is there anything regarding those accusations that you would want to address?
I mean, she filed for a divorce. She accused me of domestic violence against my son. Took several months. I ended up, when she filed for a divorce, me being the person I am, I was like, okay, well, grab a legal pad and let's go ahead and do a divorce. We'll go ahead and split all the furniture and whatnot. What do you want? Obviously, things of that sort. And I was like, when it comes down to Sebastian, all I want is 50-50. He's my son, you're his mom, so. And when that part came up, she went and got an attorney. And the next thing I know, I'm being issued a restraining order for domestic violence and a move out order so that I would no longer have a place to stay as well. Um, I thought initially I thought it was her that I was being accused of being violent against. Um, she told them that I had an arsenal. They showed up with like 20 sheriffs in SWAT gear, armed with assault rifles, fully automatic in California. They walked up. I looked at the lady and I was like, "You're coming in here. Who are y'all here for?" Because I was outside with my son and he was playing with the neighbor's kid, and we're sitting there, drinking coffee, shooting the shit, watching our kids play. When they rolled up, and when they rolled up, he looked at me. He was like, "I wonder who they're here for this time." And I was like, one day they're going to be here for me because Katie's going to call them on me. And that was the time that they were there for me. They rolled up. The lady that was in charge, she she told me that why I was here, why they were there, and I was like, okay. I looked at her and I was like, you don't remember me, do you? And the lady looked at me. She was like, no. And I was like, I'm the father of the autistic special needs child. And she was like, "Oh, I remember you," and turned around and told all the deputies there that they needed to stand down. I'd comply with whatever was asked, and they were like, they stood down. There was no need for it. All that, um, you know, that time I was before she did this. I was an armed security officer, worked in military housing, and they were like, "We hear you have firearms inside." I was like, "Yeah, I have my pistol that I use when I'm at work, and then I have the other pistol that is used for work because work issues your own pistol." And then I had my own, and they're like, "Where are they?" And I told them they were on my desk, and they were like, "But you have a child. Why do you have them on your desk?" I was like, "They're on my desk. You can go get them." 30 minutes later, they asked me to come and point out where they were on my desk. And I walked in and I showed them the secret little pop so that they would drop down so you could actually get them. and they took those, and I still never got my firearms back. 'Cause that's California, but that was it. So I was hit with this. I turned around. I was living in my car, trying to make ends meet, trying to make sure I had money to feed myself, which was, yeah, it was kind of hard to actually get employment because I didn't even have a residence or an address anymore. Dealing with the court issue, finally turned around, and her attorney kept pushing and pushing, and the judge at one point in time just turned around and told both me and Katie that we needed to be adults and remember that we're parents for Sebastian, and told us to go in the hallway and do a parenting plan, and dismissed everything. CPS had done their investigation. Finally, CPS never contacted me. One day I went by there just out of the whim. It was the last day they were closing the case, and they informed me they've been trying to get a hold of me for the whole time. And I was like, well, my number hasn't changed in years, like 12. And they're like, well, nobody had your information. And I was like, well, his mother did. And she didn't even bother to give him that. They turned around and they were like, well, we can't find any evidence of any abuse. And so they submitted that to the court, and the court dismissed everything.
I hate those parents that use their children as a weapon against their partner or soon to be ex-partner or ex-partner. I hate that. And mostly it's been my experience that it's women that do it. They do it the most. And it's disgusting. This female, Sebastian's egg donor, she's a terrible person. She is immature and ridiculous. She's mean, she's petty, she's small, she's vindictive, she's dirty, she's trash. She's trash. And I know I've not been speaking so harshly of her, but after today, no mercy. No mercy for her. And no one is going to tell me any different. No one is going to tell me any different. To tell the court Seth was ABUSIVE and turn around and marry that bag of crap, Chris Proudfoot, how dare she? How dare she accuse anybody of that kind of behavior when she runs off and marries that goofus that she's married to now? How dare she? And why isn't she helping in the search? Why isn't either one of them helping in the search? And on Vinnie Politan, Vinnie asked Seth if any of the Proudfoot family is helping with the search, or any of her family helping with the search. And Seth said no. So none of them are helping. Nobody's helping find that little boy. Well, he's 15. He's a young man. No one's helping find him except for Seth and his team. It's despicable. It is despicable. Why isn't Step Dick looking for him? Their depraved indifference is sickening. It really is.
I've also taught him that not everybody is your friend. And I had to do that. There was an incident in California before 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 Chris and Katie came back here. There was another CPS incident in California at her house. Katie let Katie and Chris let a child into their house that was 5 years older than my son. My son was 7 or 8 at the time, and this kid was 13. And she has a habit of not checking on her kid. I would never let some kid that's 5 years older than my son play with my son anyways. It's like, why do you want to play with my son? There's a 5 year difference. That's a pretty big difference. You're 13, and my son, you're a teenager. My son is not a teenager. He's still playing with Hot Wheels and Legos, and you know He's building things, he's playing video games, and you're a teenager. You go out and you have your own, you know, age appropriate group that you play with, and they were letting this kid play with my son, and they weren't checking on him. And then this kid took my son's innocence and he molested him.
So you take your time.
And there was nothing I could do in California because the kid was 13. But they let that happen. And they didn't bother to try to even get my son help until last year. Here, my son is just turned 15 in December. It means he's been dealing with an emotional, stressful, traumatic incident for the last 7 years. And I've been trying to help him. I've been trying to get him help. Going to talk to his doctor and telling them what happened. And for the doctor to tell me, she was like, I knew none of this stuff. And I'm like, really? Because he's supposed to be seeing a therapist for this. And she's like, well, he's not seeing the right type of therapist for this type of trauma. I care about my son. And actions speak so much louder than words. And there's just no justification for the actions that I have seen from them. They're not parents. They're not parents at all. And I want to know what happened to my son.
I'm sorry, you guys. That is heartbreaking. It is. What were they thinking? Oh, look, I'm crooked. What were they thinking? A 13-year-old playing with an 8-year-old? I could see it if they were siblings or something, but... And then to never check on him, never check on your 8-year-old, especially when he's playing with an older kid. And why does a 13-year-old want to play with an 8-year-old anyway, unless he has some nefarious intentions? Why? Why? When I was 13, I thought I was a grown woman. I didn't want anything to do with anybody even 1 year younger than me. And never checking on him. What is wrong with that woman? What is wrong with her? She is just... And I knew, like the first time I saw her in an interview, I didn't think she was necessarily involved in wherever Sebastian is or what happened to him. But I questioned her. The second I saw her, I was like, yeah, she looks like a winner, you know? And unfortunately, I've become a pretty good judge of character that way. And I'm going to be arrogant. I'm never wrong. I'm never wrong about someone's character. Never. Maybe once or twice. But I thought they had good character and they were really awful people. I mean, is she slow or mentally challenged in some way? I'm serious. I'm not even trying to be snarky. I'm serious. Is she? Is she just not there? And I'm sorry if I worded that offensively, but I mean, is she? Is there something going on? Like, not mentally ill, but like impaired, challenged in some way. I'm just wondering. And then not to get him any help immediately. She didn't get him help immediately. Really? She thought, oh my God, that doesn't just go away. It's trauma. And it's as traumatic as it is for girls. I understand that it's maybe not more traumatic for boys, but a different kind of trauma. But it doesn't go away. The memory is forever. Even if he buries it, it will eventually rear its ugly head, and it's always under the surface. There's always something eating at a victim. Even if they've buried it and they don't think about it, there is something gripping them. I mean, I didn't acknowledge my CSA for 40 years. And when I finally did, it explained a lot about me in the past, like how I behaved and how I acted and stuff, and all my whole life. It explained a lot. And yeah, because I was in therapy, it fixed a lot. You know, I dealt with it. But it took a long time for me to acknowledge that that's what was going on with me, and I needed to face it. And it doesn't go away. And it's just like poison. It's like an infection festering under the surface. Even if you push it down, even if you block it out, it is festering. It is waiting. And it is dark. These kids need help as soon as parents are aware that there was something, that something happened. And Seth is right. These two dipshits are not parents at all. They're not parents. They're horrible people. They don't deserve to be around kids. They do not deserve the privilege of having children in their lives, because it is a privilege to have children in your life. They're selfish, mean, careless, incompetent, useless people. And you can tell Chris I said so. I know he wants to act like he's little Mr. Badass, but I don't find him scary. I think he's just animal. He's just a monster. And maybe they didn't have anything to do with Sebastian's disappearance, but like the actual disappearance, but they have something to do with why it happened for sure. Either he ran away because he wanted away from them. Something happened, and somebody knows where he is. And they are not innocent. They may have not done anything to him. We're not sure of that yet. Like, they may have not done anything to him to make him disappear, but they've done something to him to scare him, to drive him off. They've done something. They're responsible, whether, you know, whatever happened to him, they're responsible one way or another. That little freak, Chris, he was a monster to him. He was a monster to his own children. He's terrible. Terrible.
Any of us were aware of that. And I am so sorry that, number one, that he went through that. And two, that as a parent, you know, you're going through a parent's worst nightmare, but that's like the second worst nightmare.
My son around his daughter. Because Chris has turned around into my mother told my mom, your grandson's a pedophile. No, he's not. He's a victim that hasn't got the help that he deserves and that he needs so that he can get over the traumatic incident that has happened to him. That should have never happened underneath their watch to begin with. That's why Chris doesn't want my son around his daughter. Because he's scared that my son is going to do the same thing that was done to him under his watch. And Chris Proudfoot, if you're listening to this, you can't hold that over my head. I told you. You're going to piss me the fuck off, and I don't give a fuck who knows. It's your fault. It's your and your wife's fault. You guys don't deserve to be around kids.
I hope he's alive. Yeah, I know we all do. I know, of course, we all hope that. And I mean, it's very possible. It's very possible. It's just that I don't think a 15-year-old boy, even though I understand he's very smart, but I don't think a 15-year-old boy is going to survive out there over a month on his own. Somebody has to be helping him, or somebody's got him and is taking care of him. Something. And why would people not want him found? It doesn't make any sense. Unless it points to something somebody doesn't want people to find out about. I'm just saying, usually if you're trying to hide something, it's because you have something to hide. Obviously.
I mean, I know Sumner County doesn't like me. I know I'm pretty sure the sheriff's office is tired of me, but I don't care. This is my son. I'm gonna step on people's toes. I'm
Well, the sheriff's office can be tired then. Screw them. Screw them. Find Sebastian. Screw anybody who's annoyed or fed up or tired of it. That's an inappropriate reaction to someone trying to find their child. It's an inappropriate reaction to not try to find your child, like those two Proudfoot idiots and their families, not even trying to help find Sebastian. What is wrong with them? What is wrong with them? God, they're gross. I'm getting hot. I'm getting so pissed off. Chris Proudfoot is so full of shit because he told Nancy Grace, name the place and time. I'll take the test. And then he tells her, she makes the arrangement, and then he tells her, well, TBI doesn't want me talking to you anymore, or whatever. He's so full of shit because Seth is going to do one in a couple days. He's going to do one. Stupid. That's stupid. Chris Proudfoot is stupid. He's a bullshit artist. He's completely full of shit. And why? If they're not responsible for anything, if they haven't done anything wrong, why? Why make up lies? Just do it. Do the lie detector test. No, they don't make any sense to me. Anyway, I'm gonna go. That made me mad. I need to go take a bubble bath or something. Bubble bath. That infuriates me. But anyway, I'm gonna go. I thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to everyone later. Bye.